gentlemen, welcome to the IGN Pro League right here, and I'm bringing you a matchup between EGiNcontroL and LGAgh, as I'm going to be calling him through the rest of this particular matchup. He will be forever now known as the Pirate Protoss. This is guaranteed to be an excellent matchup. It's the first mirror match that I've cast in this particular tournament, and it is Protoss versus Protoss. Now, LGAgh is well known as a Warcraft 3 player, as well as several exceptional showings in StarCraft 2, including at the first MLG event in Raleigh, where he was able to defeat Tyler, a fellow Protoss, 2-0. Now, EGiNcontroL is known as also being a fantastic player and has had some great showings at the MLG as well, including at MLG Dallas, where he was able to soundly beat the Little One. Looking forward to seeing how these guys shape up, and we're going to be going into it right now. Hopefully you guys are ready for some violence. My name is Total Biscuit, and I'll be bringing you all the action from this series. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the LGAgh Caverns. That'll be the arena for this particular bloodbath as I bring you LGAgh, the Pirate Protoss. He is in the red trunks. He's from Team Last Generation, and he is in the northeast corner of this particular map versus his opponent also playing Protoss, the one and only EGiNcontroL. Some might call him the Bear Protoss, and if you have seen him in the IGN Pro League trailers, you'll know exactly why. A former powerlifter and currently dating Miss Oregon 2011, I believe baller status has been achieved for Jeff Robinson. That being his real name outside of this virtual battlefield. He's from Team Evil Geniuses, which is the same team that Idra is from. You might have seen him play already in the IPL. He's competing here as well, and he is one of the best Zerg players in the world. EGiNcontroL has had some excellent showings in recent tournaments, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he performs today against LGAgh. Now, LGAgh is not exactly a particularly well-known player in terms of the scene right now. In the IPL, we've got some amazing players. Every one of them has merits, without question, although some are less known than others. For instance, a lot more people know who EGiNcontroL is, as opposed to who LGAgh is. But then again, that doesn't mean that LGAgh is a less capable player. Absolutely not. Shiver me timbers. He's going to be going at it with EGiNcontroL right here. And PvP is an interesting matchup. Protoss versus Protoss is one of those mirror matchups that a lot of people don't actually like. I don't know about you, but when I watch fighting games, or indeed when I play fighting games and things like that, I really don't like mirror matchups, and it's actually the same with real-time strategy as well. I always used to dislike that as much as I dislike Ken versus Ken in Street Fighter. But whatever the case, there is still an awful lot of opportunity for some great fun to happen in a battle like this, and often you'll find that battles like this are very decisive, they're very close, and some people in the community claim that they're very luck-based, and there is certainly a valid point to be made there. However, what I will say about Protoss versus Protoss is that it's very brutal. It's very merciless kind of combat, and that makes it very entertaining and interesting to me, as well as very tense, so hopefully you guys will enjoy that. In the first few minutes, you won't see an awful lot of differentiation between the builds, because really, Protoss kind of has to build the same structures regardless. You see that you've got EGiNcontroL there with a gateway into a cybernetics core. You see LGAgh with a gateway and also a cybernetics core there, although the way that LGAgh's actually structured is very interesting. You look at it, he's blocked off the bottom of his mineral line with this very solid wall to try and prevent harassment. Now, there is a bit of a technical term for this. I like to avoid these jargon terms because, of course, it can confuse you if you're not so much in this particular game. But people like to call this kind of Sim City play, where you've got players that will build their base in such a way that it's designed to achieve a particular goal. And in this case, the goal is, well, nobody's going to be able to get into that mineral line from the south there. Can't happen. So you can funnel your opponent into an area that he doesn't want to be in. And it's an interesting defensive strategy. Whereas EGiNcontroL right here with a much more open base design, not so concerned about that at all. It also gives them more room to maneuver in a defensive situation. So there's always advantages and disadvantages to this particular setup. Now, both of our players are going with 2 more gateways, and one of the most well-known strategies in Protoss vs. Protoss is the so-called 4-gateway approach, whereby you build 4 gateways and you place a forward pylon, kind of like this one, although usually you'd place it a little bit further forward, and he's going to get hyper-aggressive with it. Now, EGiNcontroL is building 4 gateways right now, but bear in mind that does not necessarily mean that your strategy is going to be the so-called 4-gateway all-in. Okay? Building 4 gates does not mean, oh, it's a 4-gate attack. That's not what it means at all. And often what you'll now find is that a lot of players are deliberately trying to fool their opponent into believing that they're either going into a 4 gateway and then transition into something else, or in fact not going into a 4 gateway by building a 4th gateway that's hidden and then faking out an expansion. They'll build a nexus and then they'll cancel out of it. And if you notice, IGiNcontrol's got a reasonable amount of money, and also IGiNcontrol does as well. In fact, he's sitting on a good amount. However, he's just warped in a couple of extra units. He's actually started off with a Twilight Council right here, which is not a bad idea at all. He'll be looking to try and get a Stalker-heavy army with some Blink, and assuming that IGiNcontrol does decide to do a heavy push, then that Blink will give ARG a nice advantage. It'll allow him to rotate his Stalkers off of the front line and to hopefully absorb as much damage as possible and do more with less. It's an efficient kind of play, folks, and the protests are often into efficiency. There are plenty of players who are well known for it. In fact, the German player StarCraft is very much known for his efficiency. Now, in IGiNcontrol's case, he's going to vary it up a little bit. He's going to go into a Stargate right now. And I've seen this build a couple of times before. Just give him a lot of interesting variety. We'll see what he can actually do with that. IGiNcontrol pushing away ARG once again in initial engagement. We might even get some decisive combat right here. There we go. Free Zealot for IGiNcontrol. Got to be feeling pretty happy about that. And ARG's going to concede this pylon as well. So all of this forward construction for ARG isn't going to happen. Forced all the way back into his base. And I'd say the map control now in favor of IGiNcontrol. And it'll be interesting to see what he decides to pull out with this Stargate. Fairly common to see Void Rays coming out of there, and that will be interesting to see. However, bear in mind with Blink Stalkers that ARG is going to be able to deal with those kind of aircraft fairly well, and Blink is already well on the way for him. Phoenix on the way for IGiNcontrol as well. It'll give him a nice little bit of scouting information, as well as, with sufficient numbers, the ability to harass the back of ARG's base. Right now, with those Stalkers and the Blink hanging around, he's not going to be able to do too much with that. IGiNcontrol pushing forward once again. Mostly Zealot heavy force right here, with a few Stalkers thrown in for good measure. No forward pylon. So I'm not too worried for ARG right now. ARG is pretty well defended, and obviously he's just completed his Blink research, at least in the next couple of seconds. So he's going to be in a good position to deal with anything that IGiNcontrol throws at him for the near future. Phoenix on the way out, Forge on the way out for IGiNcontrol as well. No signs of expanding as of yet, although his mineral count is starting to get a little bit high, so you never know. And if he were to expand right now, he might be in a little bit of trouble, because ARG is pushing forward, and he's escorting a probe along with it as well. So it looks like he'll be trying to place a pylon, get a few warp-ins, get some kind of aggressive play going. 15 Stalkers now on the field for ARG. That's a potent force, especially if it's properly micromanaged. Photon cannon going down at the bottom. That's not going to help, because ARG's going to take that out almost immediately. A single volley does it, and I believe cancelled out that. Nice play there by IGiNcontrol. And now IGiNcontrol starting to lose some buildings. That Forge is going to be taken out. It's unpowered right now anyway, so a little bit unfortunate for him. However, he's not in any huge threat right now. Should be able to deal with it without too much of a problem. A lot more Phoenixes coming out for IGiNcontrol. It'll be interesting to see if he decides to go in for some harassment and tries to take advantage of the fact that ARG is just hanging around at his forward base right here. Pylon take a little bit of sniping as well. ARG forced to cancel out of it. And those Phoenixes still just hanging around, waiting. And IGiNcontrol with the Twilight Council of his own. And finally now rolling out those Phoenixes. Now, how vulnerable will this be? Pretty damn vulnerable is the simple answer to that. ARG will be forced to warp in Stalkers in order to deal with that. And if he doesn't warp in enough, then the Phoenixes will be able to rip them apart anyway. And here we go. He's push up the ramp right here. Quick blink back there by ARG. Loses one of the photon cannon anyway. Photon cannon taken out. And a quick blink away once again. A little bit of harassment. Nothing major in the meantime. A force of Phoenixes flying across the map. And I would be very concerned about that mineral line right now. That looks like we're going to get some free snipes off right here. IGiNcontrol could very easily do the damage. In the meantime, however, he's focused on this push of his ramp right here. ARG with a quick walk back. Able to save that Stalker. Takes out the line of Zealots very nicely indeed. ARG not taking too many losses in the meantime. Here comes the harassment from IGiNcontrol. Trying to snipe off a couple of probes right here. He's focused on defending against this particular attack from ARG, and ARG forced back for the time being. However, his unit count is looking very strong, and IGiNcontrol doesn't quite have the units he needs. Now the question is, how much damage has this harassment really done? Phoenix takes out 3, 1, 1, and 1. That is very good. And if you have a look at the economy of ARG, it is starting to lag behind. And that's going to cause him some problems in the sustainability of this attack. He's really got to get in there now and do the damage. He's laying it down right here. Excellent blink micromanagement. Blinking the injured Stalkers off the line. Loses 1. However, his unit count still looking very good. 8 Stalkers versus 14. ARG pushed away again. Excellent defense there by IGiNcontrol. Now, in the meantime, I'm very concerned about what's happening to this minimal line as the energy of these Phoenixes continues to regenerate, and he picks away at the probe line. There we go, 22 Harvesters to 30 right now. ARG trying to push up the ramp again. This time he's got Zealots to take a lot of the fire, pushing all the way up right here. IGiNcontroL in a lot of trouble. That's only 7 Stalkers available for him. And there we go, laying it down right here on the Stalkers and the gateways of IGiNcontroL. He's forced to pull off the minimal line. This could be the game ender for him, ladies and gentlemen, even with all of that harassment. Probes surround right here. However, it's still 13 Stalkers to 3. I am not calling it in favor of IGiNcontroL right now. Not one little bit. ARG taking an awful lot of damage. Not able to blink out of that. It's a good surround right here by IGiNcontroL. However, he doesn't have any defensive units left. Nothing left for IGiNcontroL whatsoever. In the meantime, still he keeps picking off these probes up here every time his energy allows him to do so. However, ARG is into the minimal line. That harassment isn't going to make all that much difference, and there's no money whatsoever for IGiNcontroL, and he gives it up. Excellent play by both players. However, ARG was able to overwhelm him there with that Stalker-heavy approach. A good approach, considering his opponent ended up going for the Stargate, went for the harassment as opposed to the big unit count, and he was eventually overwhelmed by his opponent. And ARG takes the first in this best of 3 series. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We've just got started right here on the IGN Pro League. IGiNcontroL versus ARG.